to poverty levels.
Yeah, there is that. So there is an entire report on pages 2 to 3 of the Standard this morning. You just saw that, right? Trying to move Jane from this end to the other.
End.
Yes, so there is a report on pages 2 to 3 of the Standard this morning, trying to help us understand some of the reasons and factors that inform this unfortunate state of affairs. Also highlighted on the front page is all about Kalasha, the big wins. In as far as that is concerned, young Kenyans say on state of the country today, there is a survey recently published, and research documents the views of young Kenyans about politics, the state and future, and the verdict is not flattering. Yeah, it's not, because of the state of unemployment. But also remember that other survey that was conducted that said that young people do not mind engaging in corruption as long as wataomoka. Well, we shall be relating all those issues in the course of In the Headlines today. Doreen?
All right, now, still keeping up with the front pages of the different daily. On the front page of the People's Daily, Sam. All right, still matters to do with the BBI still dominates the papers, with the main header, fresh clash over signature budget, where it just continues to say that the Electoral Commission has now requested 241 million shillings for verification, but BBI Secretariat bosses say the amount is exaggerated, as process can be completed with just a few millions and not the ones that they have mentioned, the 241 million Kenyan shillings. This story has been well fleshed out here, fleshed out.
Redeemed.
Fleshed out from page 4 through 6.
Of course.
Of the video. Hamtakuwa hivyo, by the way.
Pole sana, hizi vitu zi happen.
All right, now on the sidebar of the same paper, you know, the Msambweni elections, which is slated also to happen, still takes center stage on the paper, with the main header, Msambweni candidates in last-minute pitch for votes. Also, details of that will be coming in a bit. Now, coming to rather a different story, and this is again also in regards to what featured on the during the president's speech on Jamhuri Day celebrations, where he really also talked about matters to do with food security. Again, the same issue also featured last year. Now, this is just an interesting study which now shows nutrition still underfunded across the globe. Now, MPs can make a difference. Look, listen to this bite. MPs can make a difference. MPs can make a difference individually and collectively by advocating and communicating the urgency to reduce malnutrition and stunting. Now, this is actually, you know, just coming to MPs, where, especially here in Kenya, we really complain a lot about our members of parliament. Not all of them, but some of them. But now the burden looks like to be falling on them, saying that if you have to curb the issue of malnutrition, especially here in the country, it only means that members of parliament also need to take responsibilities of the different constituencies. Now, to rather an interesting story, Kenyans plan to spend less on holiday this year. Sam has already mentioned some of the issues, given the fact that schools will be opening just on that very day, like on Friday Christmas, on Friday New Year's, on Monday, you know, opening of schools. So this could probably also be the reason as to why Kenyans will be planning to spend a little bit less on this year's festivities, and that's how the front page of this daily looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would be part of it, by the way.
Let's get to some of those details before we get to call it a segment. Today we're going to be having a short version of In the Headlines. So let me just look at this particular story in regards to this letter that now retired CJ, where he transferred all his powers and functions to his deputy. And this letter has brought about so much controversy, with critics saying that it is unconstitutional. CJ's letter to his deputy has been termed as unconstitutional and illegal. He has been faulted for handing over functions to his deputy, that is Philomena Mwilu. And according to some constitutional experts, they argue that there are functions that are reserved and are exclusively for a substantive holder of the office, and the deputy does not have the capacity to make decisions when it comes to some of these functions that have been reserved, which include admitting of advocates to the High Court bar, transfer of judges, advising the president to dissolve parliament, and the issuance of guidelines on how court cases will be conducted. And this was all detailed in this letter that the now retired CJ, okay, he'll formally hand over come January next year, but he's officially gone on leave, lest I be misquoted. In this letter, he indicated that he has transferred all the powers and functions of his office to his deputy until a substantive CJ has been appointed. He has also gone on to say that he will be back on the 11th of January to formally hand over to the deputy, that is Milo, pending the appointment of a new CJ. We have seen so many lawyers terming this move as unconstitutional and illegal as far as the law is concerned. So we are waiting to see what other turns this will take as we await the appointment of a new CJ.
Yeah, very quickly, let me tell you what has been happening as far as our diplomatic, let me call it tension, I won't call it spat, okay? Tension between us and Somalia is concerned, because Uhuru, our president, did host a Somaliland leader amidst a tension, and President Abdi's visit comes just days after Somalia kicked out Kenyan ambassador to Mogadishu and recalled its representative in Nairobi over claims of interference. It's not the first time we're seeing this happen. And we need to revisit that Bermuda Triangle and the issues that have ensued since. Did we ever resolve that issue, Jane? No?
I think it floated and disappeared.
Yeah, it's in front of the International Court of Justice, and we've seen a lot of lobbying happening around it. And just to take a quote from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is that Kenya has no diplomatic presence in Somaliland, but takes cognizance of the political and economic stability of the region and is keen to enhance and broaden trade in goods and services, as well as investment as the cornerstone for long-term development cooperation with the region. And diplomatically speaking, why should this be of interest to us? Remember, President Trump did recall his troops from Somaliland. Okay? The AMISOM, not AMISOM, the troops from the US that were helping those from the Africa Union to contain peace and stability in Somalia, were US washaitwa back. So now that poses a question. What does this mean exactly for our stability and our borders moving forward, our territory? Because Al-Shabaab is still a threat when it comes to security. And also to consider the fact that also Kenyans have been feeling like it's about time our troops also were withdrawn from AMISOM. But is it time really? And if at all we're going to embrace that, how do we go about it? Okay? And this tension between us and Somalia, is it helping things in the first place? So those are some of the issues that we are probing diplomatically so. And as far as this particular story is concerned, it's covered on page 4 of the Standard today. Very quickly, let me tell you what is happening with the Star. I'm on page 5, and former Member of Parliament as well as former Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, that is Reverend Mutava Musimi, says that BBI is good, yes, but it could have been better. That's an opinion piece. We won't delve into it so much. And of course, why Olwande has a key role in Maraga succession, and the control of the Judicial Service Commission is crucial in naming CJ's successor and other judges. And pursuant to the provisions of Article 161 2B and 163 1B1 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, as well as Section 5 of the Judicial Service Act, I hereby authorize you, Philomena Mbete Mwilu, the Deputy Chief Justice, to act as Chief Justice. Those were the legal provisions that the CJ or outgoing CJ used to nominate his deputy to take up the role as Deputy Chief Justice for the time being. A move that we've seen stakeholders within the legal fraternity interpret all too differently, and we'll be giving you some of the schools of thought that have informed this particular interpretation. All this and much more will be coming your way during Ion Politics at 8. Clearly, it will be a packed show, and we do invite your opinion on it at KBC Channel 1, at Sam W. Njoroge, at Jane Wamboy, at Doreen Arange. By the way, Ray is away.
Yes, she is.
We are representing her fully.
Always.
We are joined at the hip wherever she is.
Literally.
Literally.
Now, before we get to close this segment, just want to touch on this story that has been given prominence on the front page of the Daily Nation in regards to black spots that we need to watch out for as we go into this festive season. Of course, there has been restriction of movements that have been put in place since March, but that has not brought about a reduction of number when it comes to the number of deaths that we have witnessed on the roads, because so far there have been 3,508 people who have lost their lives as a result of road accidents for the past 11 months alone. So clearly there still is a problem, and more so on these 10 black spots that have been highlighted. You can grab a copy of the Daily Nation and get to see which these ones are, and they are mostly on the northern corridor, some of the busiest transport routes that we have here in Kenya. They are the 10 hotspots that have been highlighted to be the deadliest that we need to watch out for as we go into full force into this festive season. So if you are going to be traveling, you might want to be careful when you are driving on some of these routes. And if you're going to be using public service vehicles, you might also want to just, ukiona driver na misbehave kidogo, it does not hurt to just raise concern. At the end of the day, it is your life that is at risk.
Imagine, and this car hire people, I know time has come, car hire business will be thriving. Tafadhali, once you hire a car and you've never operated that machine, or it's been a while since you last drove, you don't have to go at those or use those supersonic speeds.
Just because you can.
Just because you're behind the wheel. Okay? Please take care. And if you can avoid the road, avoid the road.
You only live once, literally.
You only live once. Nacho nikwambia ukigongo vunjikeo mkono mguu. Quality of life after
definitely goes down.
Yeah, so please, let's take care on our roads. And we, the mature drivers, let's look out for the freshers who will be gracing our roads. Ukiona mtu ana misbehave, be the greater person. Be the bigger person. Avoid wahala.
Enda mbele yake slow down.
Either that, ama tu, umwache tu, yani umwangalie kwa umbali, right? Season that salt.
As we take a breather.
As we take a break, we'll be back in a moment.
Athletics Kenya is credited for starting organized athletics following its formation in 1950, when it was known as the Kenya Amateur Athletics Association, to become a powerhouse with great achievements to behold. And that is why this Tuesday, the 15th of December, Athletics Kenya will be commemorating 70 years of existence. Your true sports partner, KBC Channel 1, will ensure you don't miss out of such a prestigious occasion as they honor the men and women who made it happen. Let's join the celebrations from 10 a.m. in a true Kenyan spirit.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua fridge. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Ini last botamas kwa kalenda ya mamasta majima bazenga. She's so expensive, okay. Niweke kwa inamba buda boss do my kit. Na tumepia na ya kutoa.
Line already, it's time already. A line already, it's time already.
Make I tell you what you like for a bullet. Baby, come and reach your body, body, yeah.
Back it up right away, yeah, right away. Gang. Rada chafu nikishikaga, hizo chafu bana shika shash. Pale bedroom kila siku bash, hini lich ndaki kumba.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
How can the present ruler try to give a bad name for this entire kingdom? And a very brave boy.
A boy? He will show this world that the right to rule is not just confined.
I wish I could have told you that I love you so much, Ashok.
The son of Bindusar Ashok has been killed. We will wipe out the Maurya dynasty from this planet.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Nikopoa. Mambo ma workout. The second he starts being associated with Connor.
I know what I'm doing. What's wrong with you?
Mami, lazima grow up what you behave kama mtoi. If anything happens to anyone in life, I will hunt you down.
Smile! You're a winner! Champion! Just smile!
Simon broke up with me.
Jitu mbona udhika sana hivyo ukiniona mimi na Pami pamoja?
You knew the terms of this deal.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
If you help me, I'll get you out of the country.
Oh yeah?
I want you to help me get back Ramon. That woman Fabiola stole him from me.
I'm just so happy.
Congratulations. Congratulations on the baby, on the house, on everything.
Thank you very much,
Congratulations,
Mr. Antonio.
We're about to make the best investment of our lives.
Won't be indebted to a bank because of a stupid loan roll and up paying double that amount. No, my dear, no.
You can't let her go. You need to bring her back.
Where do I look for her?
My baby! My baby! Where's my baby?
In love with Ramon.
A love from the past will mark the love from today.
I love you, Mauro. I love you like I have never loved before.
Now the same obsession that ruined the past will try to destroy the present. Only this time, love will have more than one obstacle ahead.
I need a doctor to tend to her right away. Please, miss. A doctor. Call a doctor.
Loving you is all I want.
And welcome back to the program. Time for our fast conversation this Monday. We just want to better understand about inclusion of persons living with disabilities here in the country, especially during this COVID-19 time or this COVID-19 pandemic. Just what are some of the challenges that these persons have gone through, and what can we do as a society at least to help them, during this difficult time? On set, I'm joined by Monica Mweni, who is a resource mobilizer at DDAC. Monica, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Easy, relaxed?
Very relaxed.
All right, just tell us what DDAC is all about and what happens at the organization.
DDAC is Disability Discovery Association of Kenya. Our main focus is disabled persons. What we do with disabled persons is to empower them socially, empower them economically, and try to boost their self-esteem, because most of them, their self-esteem is down. We also try to open up their eyes on opportunities that they do not know of, both the literate and the illiterate. And we also try to show them what they can do in order for them to get at the levels and attain the levels, even in the academic levels, that other people have attained.
Okay. Now, when you say that you are a resource mobilizer, what exactly is your role?
My role is to look for finances, because there's no organization that can run without finances. There's no organization that can run without partnership. We cannot say that we are all-rounded. So meaning that if we are not all-rounded, my work is to look for partnerships, because when I look for partnerships, then I'll meet other people and meet other organizations that are going to open up my eyes, because I cannot say as an organization that we know everything, because we have not been in the game for so long. And again, even if we have been in the game for so long, again, opportunities keep on coming and ideas keep on coming, and again, looking for resources, because we cannot survive without resources.
Ultimately, the issue of resources is always a difficult one in whatever capacity, especially even for organizations. So for you being able to source and mobilize these resources, how has it been, for you doing this? What has been so difficult when it comes to you as a person in regards to you mobilizing or getting these resources?
One, sourcing for cash, even for an individual, has never been easy, and it will never be easy. So one, the best thing, one, I like challenges. So that has been my pushing goal. So every time I get a challenge, it's like a stepping stone for my progress. The biggest challenge has been just convincing people that this is a worthy cause. Because if you have not run with the vision, then you cannot support the vision. So if I'm able to convince you as a person or as an individual or as an organization that this is a worthy cause and this vision is worthy it, then you hold it and run with it. Then that is it. So the biggest challenge is just convincing you and just to hold the vision and run with it.
Hold the vision and run it. Now, when we're talking, when you're actually having this conversation off here, you mentioned to me that you have been able differently for a period of 18 years, meaning you weren't born that way, Monica. So I'd love you to just, give us a brief of what it is that happened and how it is that you ended up being in that space that you are in right now.
This is the 18th year since I sat on this wheelchair. It happened when I was a young girl in Form 1. Yeah, and we had just gone for the holidays, and I was happy to go visit friends and everything. So when I was moving, and I just felt uneasy, and I was like, what's happening? So I said, anyway, let me just rest. I sat down to date.
Oh, wow. Now, for you to be so much passionate about, just people or persons living with disability, especially even for those that get accidents, and I was telling you earlier that sometimes someone will tend to be bitter. They don't even want to do anything about it. But for you, you became so passionate about it, and you really also want to help these persons. What really led you to this position where you just became so passionate, want to help, you're not bitter per se? What was it for you?
One, acceptance is core. So whatever change that comes or whatever challenge that comes, one, you should accept that this is me and I have to accept me. Do not live in the past. Number two, something else is that do not be bitter about the society, about yourself, about how things have happened, about medics, how they have handled the situation, or because I was hospitalized for a number of years, then after being hospitalized in and out of hospital to date, that's when I got myself on wheels. And I do not have one disability. I'm also epileptic. Yeah. So one thing is just accept that this is me, and I have to fight the world the way I am, and I am capable. Believe in yourself. Number two, apart from that, do not mind what the second, third party say. But what you say from within, it will determine how far you are going to go. So that has really helped me, and that is what I always tell everyone that I meet. Like, they ask, how have you made it this far? Accept yourself, be proud of yourself, and decide to fight the world as you are. For my case, I had to drop out of school. After dropping out of school, I had to learn my entire high school in my in my hospital bed. Why? Because of determination. Not because I was so able or something, but because I was determined that no matter whether I am on wheels or not, whether I am epileptic or not, I have to fight like any other person, because there is no special world that is there for the special persons. No, the world is the same, and we have to fight for the same opportunities, for everything that is there. We have to fight. So after I learned, now I did my KCSE. After I did my KCSE, I joined campus. After I joined campus, I cleared my first degree. I did my second degree. Right now I'm doing my PhD. Why? Determination.
Clearly, yours is a story of hope. I mean, oftentimes, just the way I was mentioning, you'd hear, especially for someone who wasn't born that way and probably ended up along the way, there's always that aspect of bitterness. So just as you're mentioning that, at least you tell them or you teach them that they have to probably move past that, because the way you're saying that there's nothing, there's no special thing for any special someone. It's just a question of determination and trying to move forward. So how do these persons take it, especially those that, have that bitterness? They still feel like, ni huyu alinifanya nikakuwa hivi. How do they take it?
I cannot say that it's an easy task.
Yeah.
It is not an easy task, because if it is not from within, it cannot come from without. So it has first to come from within. So definitely you will have to keep on talking to them and telling them that this is life, and you have to take it as it comes. Failure to that, you will become miserable, you will fall into depression, you will get ulcers, you will not live a happy life, because you only have one life to live. If you waste one day, you will never get it. If I stay there and start mourning that I have got conversions, I am on these wheels, I cannot do ABCD, I have lost that day, it is gone and gone forever. So you have wasted a day or an hour of your life lamenting. Why don't you use the same energy that you are using to lament to do something that is productive? Because you have not lost everything. God cannot take away everything from you. Even if you are on that day or on that bed and you cannot arise, you cannot sit, I've been there. So you still have sound mind. You can think rightfully. You can come up with ideas that can help someone or can help you, or innovative ideas that can take you a mile ahead. You can even sell those ideas as a business. You can do a business of just selling ideas, and that is something. So it's not that you do not have, even if you do not have your arms, at least there is something you have. Maybe you have your eyes, you have your ears. Use just what you have. The moment you continue becoming bitter with the world, becoming bitter with yourself, becoming bitter with the society, you will not go a mile ahead. You will just keep on stagnating, and it is a heavy load to carry. So kindly let it go.
Wow, I love your positivity, Monica. Like, you're just, way above. But we'll be coming to the inclusivity part in just a short while. However, I want to take you back a bit, because you mentioned that you were able to clear primary, go to high school, go to campus. And oftentimes, especially when you have this conversation, even with PWDs, other PWDs, there's always a challenge and a tussle just being in that common space, especially even in a campus setup. For you, how difficult or how easy was it for you?
I cannot say that it was easy, and I started by saying that challenges are a stepping stone for our progress. So whenever you face a challenge, remember that your progress is just right ahead. So it is a stepping stone. It was never easy, like because my entire high school I was in hospital, so I cannot say that it was easy, but at least the nurses were supportive. They used at least to hold the books for me, because by then my arms could not do anything much. At least they used to hold my arms, the books for me, and help me read. And that was the entire period of the high school period, because the entire period I was just in hospital. So I cannot say much about because I was not with other people. I was just all alone on my bed. So I cannot not about the high school part. But for the campus part, I cannot, because one, I had to look for a campus of my choice and of a course that I needed. And I kept on changing from one course to another because, one, I'll find that where the course is, maybe there's no a hostel that is friendly to me, or even the college or the campus is not, again, friendly to me. Yeah, so I kept from moving from one campus to another. And
now that in itself is a challenge already.
A challenge by itself. Yeah. Yes. So at long last, I got to, I did my first degree in JKUAT. So I was in JKUAT main campus in Juja. I cannot say that life was sad, but I was always with my caregiver. Yeah, because maybe I can get a conversion. No one knows how to handle me, which is a challenge to the society, that you should know how to handle these people. Because when I go out there, I get a conversion. No one knows how to handle me. Tomorrow, I will not be courageous to move out. So I was always with my caregiver. Where I have gone, it is not really friendly. I cannot move with my wheels. She used to carry me on her back. Congrats to Dorcas. Thanks so much. So she used to carry me on her back. At least I can move. I had so very friendly classmates. So at least they used to support me so much. If I cannot do something, if I cannot move somewhere, they were really, really supportive. Why? Because I went out there. If you stay in your room and keep lamenting, you won't get help. You won't get assistance. You won't get the strength to fight each and every day. Yeah.
Monica, you've mentioned something that I'd love us to explore a bit, and you say that sometimes it's a problem of the society because we as a society, we do not understand or even know how to deal with persons such as these persons with disability. So do you feel like it needs to be like a basic knowledge for us, at least to even just understand the nitty-gritties? Because you can meet someone in that capacity, just the way you're mentioning, and you don't even know what to do with them.
Yeah, one, it needs a turnaround of the entire education system, of the entire social system. It just needs a turnaround of everything. Just to mention but a few.
Yes.
Look at our social amenities. Are they friendly? I would go there and I want to...
that is where the problem begins.
Yes. So I would go there and I want to swim. How do I do it? No one even knows how I can do it. And then our mentality are kinda polluted, in quotes, polluted. Because when you see me, you see a need.
Yeah.
You do not see someone who can sit down with you and talk and come up with legislation and come up with policies just like you. Or just enjoy life just like you. You are like, how can I help you? Like, seriously? When you meet someone in the streets, just a normal person, an able person, do you ask them how you can help them? You don't.
So first of all, it's even a mentality question. So even as we talk about this inclusion of PWDs, it needs to start with how we think about them when we say them, right?
It's all in the mind.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all in the mind. Again, how we have been brought up, it's I cannot blame us entirely because even how we have been brought up, it has affected and contributed to this. Why? Because I go with my kid, you come with your kid. My kid is disabled, your kid is not disabled. Your kid will be like, they cannot play with my kid. Why? Because they have never seen, they do not know how to handle a disabled person. Why? Because they have never seen one.
Now that's where the education bit comes in again.
Yes. Yeah, so now that's where the education bit comes in. That's where the just opening up our minds and us learning as a society from the word go that these people are just like us, and how can we handle them? How many people know sign language? Very few. So I come to you and I want to speak to you and I'm deaf and dumb. We cannot communicate. Why? Because you are so, in quotes, ignorant. You do not even mind whether there's someone of that caliber who would have come to your hotel or in your social amenity and they would have desired to communicate to you, and they have got that challenge. The same case to our churches, to our mosques. Do we have sign language interpreters? Do we have Braille Bibles? Then, you are so ignorant. I want to sing like any other person. Did you think that I am not the height that you have set your microphones? Ignorance. So it just all goes round to just ignorance, lack of know-how. it is just too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ultimately, when you talk about inclusion of PWDs in whatever capacity, that means it's holistic. Yeah, as in, there's a lot that we need to do
as a society.
So then, do you feel like, as at least thus far, we've done something?
Definitely, we have done something, but we still have a mile to go. Okay. I congratulate us for the far that we have come.
Yeah.
I cannot keep on ranting because something cannot happen overnight.
Yeah.
A miracle cannot happen overnight. So we have to start somewhere and start moving to somewhere. So we have already started the journey, moving at a slow pace, but we will still get there.
We'll still get there.
Yeah.
At least we've made some milestones here and there, but we still have a long way to go.
Yes,
Just borrowing from how you're explaining, especially also the mentality bit, because it all starts in the mind. The moment we can change our mind, then that means at least we can, make other progressive steps. Cindy?
Yeah.
All right, now let's come to Didak and, also just as you had mentioned that, yes, you focus mostly on economically, socially, at least just empowering these persons. But you also mentioned that your biggest target is the economic bit. And I'd like you to explain to us, of all these other facets, why specifically choose to mostly focus on the economic part?
Economic empowerment.
Yes.
Why focus on economic empowerment? We are so expensive. Trust you me. I need a caregiver. I need medication. I need a private car. I cannot use a public car like any other person. If I'm blind, I need a guide. If I am deaf and dumb, I need an interpreter. So because of the cost implication, because of the cost implication is so high, then you find some of us who are able differently,
yes,
our level of education is a little bit low. Why? Because of opportunities and the financial bit of it. Yeah, and even just knowing, being able to meet that person who can hold your hand, because all of us need mentors in one way or the other.
Exactly.
So someone we can look up to, and I'm like, he or she had CP. And look at them, they are now professors, meaning I can also get there. Now, just having those people we can look up to, and I see that, if they made it with this challenge, then I can also make it. They are there, but at least they are few. But at least we are working to get in there. And some of us are from very humble backgrounds. But to say, so because we are from humble backgrounds, how can we help this person? How can we help this person who has got 3 children? Who got one maybe got CP, another one mental challenge, another one on wheels like me or something.
Various forms of disabilities.
Yes, various forms of disabilities. Or you find that maybe you have 2 kids with the same disability type. Yeah, the cost. Special schools are so costly. Maybe you'll need special diet. Maybe you'll need now those medication. Yeah, so that's why we are focusing on the economic part. Because when you have money does not answer all things, but at least when you are empowered economically, you're even courageous. Like when I do not have money, I'm just seeking for sympathy. I'm like, just give me what you are.
And that is one thing you want to do away with completely. Seeking sympathy, like mtu anafatua kuhurumie. So now when you talk about this economic empowerment bit, I'm a bit interested. What exactly do you teach them? Is it probably how to start a business, or is it just a mentality shift? What exactly do you teach these persons? We have I just told you earlier that we have a CBO, a community-based organization. Yeah, okay. So that is what we work with. So in this community-based organization, we have different groups. Yeah, so in these groups, you'll find that we got different kinds of disabilities. So you look at the need. Because the need that I have is not the need that another person has. Even if I'm on wheels and they are still on wheels, our needs are completely different. So you look at the need. You see that maybe for my need, I will need professors or academics, people who are good in academics, who are going to come and teach me on research and encourage me or something. Someone else who is down there might not need the same. They just need those basic trainings on how to generate income.
Another one just needs financial management. So that is what we do. Then we encourage them that you have to do something, no matter how small. Even if it's just selling sweets, it is going to bring for you income. Then because we have taught you on financial management, then that is going to help you. And remember that we are going to be following up with you because we have a circle that is completely owned by persons who are able differently. So our work is to make sure that what have you got? You have got 50 shillings. Kindly, I taught you on financial management. So 10 shillings, keep in this circle. It is going to be of help to you in your rainy day.
Wow, that is beautiful. So at least it means that you also, teach them the, the technical know-how. Probably if they start a business, how do they need to go about the monies that they make? What do they need to save? What do they need to invest back into the business? That's okay. Now, there's always this other issue, especially also again when it comes to opportunities, which again you've mentioned a bit, and jobs. There's always this question of, I'm not so sure if I can hire someone who's on wheelchair. I'm not so sure if I can hire someone who's on crutches. Is it again a question of mentality?
One is a question of mentality. Two is a question of, in quotes, feeling that your mind tells you that this person is not as smart or as able to perform as any other person. Yeah, so it all goes around that. And another one is like feeling that this person might be so costly or they might not be as productive as any other person. So when it comes to hiring, that is it. But you have to fight as a disabled person or a person who is able differently, and you will still get there. Because it's not everyone who has got that negative mentality. There's still that person who will look at your productivity, will look at your brains. Yeah, so it does not mean, again, you should not like bring the whole tag to disability. No. Even the persons who are able, okay, there's people who have tarmacked for the longest time ever. It does not mean, so you don't have to blame everything on your disability or something. No, you should remember, before you are disabled, you are a person like any other person. Before you are disabled, you're a person like any other person. As we conclude, Monica, what would you like to tell us as a society in respect to how to deal with this person, or even just persons living with disability in whatever capacity? One, accept them, love them. No one doesn't like to be loved. Help them to fight for the ones who are in that position, that vulnerable position. Just help them to fight to see the light of the day at the end of the day. And again, do not be ignorant. Do what you can do as a person, and change doesn't begin with the whole nation. It begins with you as an individual. So you as an individual do change. I also do my part. Another person does their part. And we are going to build a world that is all acceptable and all inclusive. All right. Accept and also accept yourself. That is your message. Yeah, true. All right. And that is where we bring our first conversation to a close. I was speaking to Monica Mweni, who is the resource mobilizer at DDAC, just talking to us about the organization and what it is that they do there in regards to at least continue to helping persons with disability in every capacity, economic, socially, and in every other way. We want to take a very short breather, but we are not yet done with Good Morning Kenya. There's still more of Good Morning Kenya after this short break.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mlitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings? Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aendi huko.
Jiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Yote ndawai do iko tu sawa kwa macho yako.
Unataka kuwako. Ati nini? Why are you people shouting?
Are you okay?
Mwanamke ninakuona sana. Ni wanaume hapa Mombasa wameisha.
Ni nini mbaya?
Nowadays we have so many unfaithful people.
What?
We need to talk about her every time we are together.
I'd be very careful the way you address me.
Zako zinakuangaje? Huwezi kaa dakika mbili hata bila kuteta.
You will all sign new contracts.
And I am supposed to be briefed.
What? Sitaki ujinga.
Oof.
Athletics Kenya is credited for starting organized athletics following its formation in 1950 when it was known as the Kenya Amateur Athletics Association, to become a powerhouse with great achievements to behold. And that is why this Tuesday, the 15th of December, Athletics Kenya will be commemorating 70 years of existence. Your true sports partner, KBC Channel 1, will ensure you don't miss out of such a prestigious occasion as they honor the men and women who made it happen. Let's join the celebrations from 10 a.m. in a true Kenyan spirit.
Now, before we go to the different conversations we have during the day, how about we look at traffic at this hour? And we are still focusing on what is happening along Ngong Road, given the fact that that was our focus this morning. So we just want to begin from where we left earlier on, and this is actually around the Adams Arcade roundabout. But before we get to explore that area, look at how things have changed right now. I had told you earlier that if at all you are coming from the areas around Ngong, Dagoretti, Karen, Kibra, coming to the city center, then during that hour was just the perfect time for you to do that, because look at how things have changed as of now. Heavy kind of traffic, in fact, just before you get to the roundabout there, and this is specifically actually the Adams Arcade roundabout. Before you get there, heavy kind of traffic, and actually this comes all the way as you leave the Junction Mall heading to the city center via Ngong Road. So from that particular junction all through, it's just traffic building up. In fact, in some section, heavy kind of traffic, not moving at all, just at a standstill. In some other sections, traffic beginning to slightly build up. And the sad part is that this is actually on both lanes. Now, again, just for the benefit of our viewers to understand what I mean when I'm saying on both lanes of this specific route, it just means as you leave Ngong Road or as you leave all the estates that I'm just mentioning to you, heading over to the city center or even just around Ngong itself. And also as you leave CBD, coming to this estates or even coming to any kind, of company or businesses along this specific route. So this is what I mean when I'm saying on both lanes. Now, again, traffic on both of these lanes, just as I was mentioning to you, different colors all through the specific route. In some parts, as I was telling you, traffic beginning to slightly build up. In some others, at a standstill, not moving at all. In some other parts, moving at a pretty slow pace. In fact, just before you get to the roundabout, not moving at a standstill on that particular section. But the beauty, especially around this particular roundabout, it's unlike what we would see, especially on major roundabouts, because oftentimes there's really heavy kind of traffic, not moving at all, just at a standstill. But then again, it's because roundabouts are one of those busy areas, especially along these routes, given the fact that they connect to a number of roads. And it is no different from this specific one, but at least this one, just coming from Ngong Road, as you head over through Ngong Road before you get to the city center, branching off to one of those slip roads there, that is Suna Road, as you head over to the other side of Kibra, and also branching off to Elgeyo Marakwet Road, again one of those slip roads as you head over to Adams. So clearly, yes, one of those busy roundabouts, but not major roundabouts. And again, the beauty is that things are not changing, so it just means it's green all through. In some sections, looking like traffic is beginning to slightly build up, but at least a manageable kind of traffic. I had mentioned to you earlier that there's still some ongoing works on this particular route, and this is in regards to installing of those 3 footbridges, which will be complete probably in the next 18 months. I had mentioned to you that about that time and again. So it's still an ongoing process, it's still an ongoing project, and that could probably be the reason as to why you're seeing the kind of traffic that you're seeing this morning. And on the other side, as you leave city center, just again before you get to the roundabout, also moving at a pretty slow pace. This is still along Ngong Road. So again, also on Ngong Road is one of those busy roads. So clearly, also again, in terms of businesses, in terms of activities, quite a number of them. So again, that could also be the reason as to why we are seeing the kind of traffic that you're seeing this early morning. And away from that, still coming all the way to the city center, at least looks like things are opening up just as you leave the Adams Arcade roundabout, coming all through, at least on that particular section, heading all the way just before you again get to the city mortuary roundabout. At least at that section there, looks like things are not that bad. Now look at this, look at the difference between these two roundabouts. This is now the city mortuary roundabout. I told you earlier that the Adams Arcade roundabout, yes, it's one of those busy roundabouts, but not one of those major ones, simply because at least in as much as it branches coming from Ngong Road heading to again as you leave Ngong Road, it doesn't really branch to some major roads like this specific one. So look at the traffic difference between these two specific roundabouts. Now this is the city mortuary roundabout, one of those major roundabouts, simply because it comes from Ngong Road. As you head over, just as you finish, actually just coming from Ngong Road, again branching off to Valley Road, again to Mbagathi Way. Mbagathi Way. Again, just as you head over to Ngong Road as well. So clearly making it one of those busy roundabouts. And look at how it is looking like in terms of traffic. Heavy kind of traffic throughout the entire roundabout, especially in that section, just as you branch off from Mbagathi Way, coming again all the way from Langata Road. So again, also this could be the reason why we are seeing what you're seeing. It could also be because Mbagathi Way is again one of those good alternative routes, especially for those that are coming from Langata Road. And we always know how Langata Road normally looks like in this early morning hour. So again, look at just where we're really spotting traffic. It's specific on that lane as you leave Langata Road through Mbagathi Way, just again before you branch off to the roundabout, heading over to the other side of Valley Road, and also as you branch off to Ngong Road, heading to the city center. On this section here, this is just where there's heavy traffic. But then again, also along this way, along Mbagathi Way, there have also been some ongoing works, and this is also in regards to the installation of a nice footbridge, especially for those that tend to use this specific road, going about any kind of their business or even any kind of activities. On the other section, so this is actually as you leave the city mortuary roundabout, still coming through Mbagathi Way before you enjoy into Langata Road, that specific section, no traffic at all, moving at a really fast pace. But then again, at least I'm saying as of now, Around the roundabout, looks like things are beginning to just slightly open up. So yes, in as much as there's traffic, but at least a manageable kind of traffic. And this is on that section as you leave Ngong Road. Before you get to Valley Road and also at the other side of Ngong Road. So again, for our viewers coming from the areas of Ngong, so just where you'll have to make do the traffic is just around the roundabout past there. Looks like a smooth sailing for you, especially as you head over to the city center. So again, also throughout the entire road, looks like things are opening up. When I'm saying opening up, it just means that yes, there's still traffic, but at least a manageable kind of traffic, and that's why we're seeing this orange color. But then again, also it is very important for me to mention that around this roundabout, just like other major roundabouts, I can tell you for sure that the traffic police are usually stationed actually throughout the entire roundabout. And what it means with throughout the entire roundabout is actually on sections. So on that section, as you head over to Ngong Road, as you head over to Valley Road, and also as you head over to Mbagathi Way, and they're normally stationed here to just try and see how best they can control traffic. So it looks like things are opening up as you leave Ngong Road, and also throughout the entire roundabout as you head over to the city center. Actually, it's just a smooth sailing past the roundabout, heading all the way to the city. This is still via Ngong Road, coming all the way to the city center. Looks like things are not really that bad, and that is how it is looking like in terms of traffic. We are still focusing on what is happening along Ngong Road. Clearly, also as of now, we don't need to look at any alternative routes. Probably in the different other links that we'll be having this morning, we might need to look at those alternative routes.
There you are. Good morning. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Kenya this far. It's around 15 minutes past the hour, and Easy Kemani, thank you so much for watching the show. But you're telling us that the price for a kidney now is 52 million. What I choose to do with this information is entirely up to me. Thank you so much for that heads up, Easy. And we are appreciating your presence right here on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Kenya. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and we invite your contribution to this particular... Why is the studio so alive with this information about kidneys costing 52M? Right? It's hard. Hard economic times. Okay? But what you choose to do with that information is all up to you. How about now we focus on the political issues of the day? And even as we do that, we welcome your opinion, questions, suggestions, and comments on our social media platform at KBC Channel 1. At Sam W. Njoroge Orogo, kindly, I want to introduce you. Sit down. Thank you. Yeah. And we shall be focusing on an array of issues. The first being the upcoming Msambweni by-election tomorrow. And we'll also be having Lakeview Ward in Nakuru County, as well as Kahawa Wendani in Kiambu, elect their members of County Assembly. What does this mean in the wake of the BBI referendum, likely referendum that is coming up? We've seen former Prime Minister say that it will be a litmus test towards this exercise. Or will it be? We shall be focusing on that during this discussion. Also, the outgoing Chief Justice David Maraga and that interpretation of that notice to appoint Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu to be acting CJ. And what is the issue with Olwande's appointment to the JSC? All these are matters that we shall be delving into a little bit. We shall be looking into the president's speech and what he had to say about the BBI. So with pleasure, I introduce my panel to you this morning. I've got Advice Mundalo seated next to me, but Nio Jamako Nakotia Black. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Sam.
Karibu sana. Then we move to Daniel Orogo, who was standing in just a moment, but sasa meketi. Ndio you on a wave. Orogo uko sawa?
Good morning.
Kila kitu iko salama?
Salama kabisa.
Welcome to the program.
Mbele iko sawa.
They just have to complicate it, don't they? Yeah? And we've got Frederick Sasia. How are you, Frederick?
I'm doing good.
Everything okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the cool, calm, collected gentleman of the show. Unaona? Huyo ndio Kofi Annan wetu. Ukiona wengine wawili wanapigana, trust Fred to calm it down. So gentlemen, welcome to the show. And I would like your quick comments in terms of the speeches that were made at the Nyayo Stadium on Saturday during the 57th Jamhuri Day celebrations. I'd like to begin with you, Daniel.
Well, I'm taken aback in terms of when I was looking through the speech and reread it and heard it. One, I want to believe that on the sidelines it captured the mood of the nation, and that right now we are in a very important moment. The moments of the constitutional change. And the president urged the country, to embrace the unity that is, being, canvassed through. One of the things that, like always, ours is to provide for a critic without criticizing. And when we are giving a critic one is that the head of state would be good that this would have a rejoinder on the plight of the medics. He would have a rejoinder on the state of the economy. But he would also have a rejoinder, in terms of hardly and pragmatically tackling matters of corruption. In a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being the least and 10 being the maximum, I would give him a score of 6 that is above average, but still falls short of the wellness. I mean, because of the expectation of the mood.
Okay.
Each and every address must always capture the mood of the nation. If we are not able to provide for solutions, but provide a hope that is coming.
All right. Thank you so much. Frederick, over to you.
Okay, thank you. That speech was a speech that was politically designed. It was not really meant to address the issue the country is going through. You understand, the Real Lips spoke about things my brothers just raised, things to do with the healthcare, the economy that is really struggling, and everything that the common mwananchi is going through. The president purely dwelt on the political part of it. He spoke about the BBI process, and then came and spoke about January where schools are going to be to resume normally. So it was a speech that was purely fashioned on the emotion side of it. It was meant to capture the emotions of the citizens and make them cool down and feel there is hope for the future. But there is something else that I noticed that was so much recommendable in the weekend event, that somehow our Honorable Deputy President behaved the way he's supposed to behave. He was given a chance to speak, and he calculated his words, spoke very little, and let the big boy address issues the government has achieved. That is a plus, because all along we've seen him exhaust everything, and when the president comes, he's left with nothing but saying, naunga mkono ala ambao mdogo wangu amesema. So it was a very nice move for him, and I think he's been listening to Mzee Atwoli, and as much as they don't agree, the advice was taken in the right way. And going forward, I think the man is now behaving presidential. Yeah.
Good. We would have joined that.
No, Rogo, it's Mundalo's time. I mean, advice.
I think I agree with more or less what Fred says. I don't know how looking presidential the deputy president looked.
He spoke less.
But I don't know if that is the justification for looking presidential. But in as much as the president's speech is concerned, it was heavily on BBI, and I think the president did a lot of work in terms of selling hope to the country, just reassuring the country. I also noticed a tone of a president who is actually on his way home, a president who is not interested in there has been a lot of jostling about whether he wants to come back as prime minister, whether he wants to come back as whatever after 2022. I think from the tone of the president in his address, you could feel that this is a man who wants to do his work, finish, and then leave.
He has one more such as this.
Yeah, he just has one more, and he has no problem with having one more.
Exactly.
And I think where I feel the speech, in my view, fell short a bit was the aspect that did not address the fundamental aspects that are happening in the country now, because we have the doctors' strike, which is, I think, heading into its second week. We hoped that he would be able to address that, but I didn't see that in his address during his speech. But then I want to believe that even the selling of hope that he did was good enough. But even in the aspect of the BBI, I think it is high time the government stops overselling BBI, because now the more they oversell BBI, the more it looks unpopular. So I think in as much as, yes, it's a government agenda and it must be pushed, I think there is a lot of work that has gone into it. Like every other time the president has to stand up, he has to tell us about the handshake. Every time Raila stands up, he has to remind us that it took 1 hour of tension for them to start talking. I think that information, we have been overfed on it. And I think it's now time we start moving on from that. But generally, I think, to me, the president's speech sold hope, and that was good enough for the country.
Oh, great. So let's get to look into this document, the BBI, and of the issues around this document, that is the BBI. And drawing your attention to the Standard this morning, talks about why various leaders love the BBI. Some, for example, the deputy president talks about an expanded executive offers an array of opportunities to reward allies and neutralize the rivals. So in this regard, if he loses, he stands a chance of being the leader of opposition, which is in a position guaranteed by this particular document. Kalonzo Musyoka, who recently said that he's no longer the watermelon, says 10 years in the cold, and with new rivals haunting him in Ukambani, the former vice president is eyeing a slot in the expanded executive. Let's just get to understand some of the intrigues that come up with this particular document and the political developments therein. Earlier on, we were told we will not amend even a comma, but right now we can see that being relaxed. I don't know what you make of this, Orogo.
Yes, I love the fact that you say that earlier on there was no discussion about consensus building. And we have been here advising that it is important to build a consensus on this very important report before it becomes, the final amendment of the Constitution. Some political, and I want to speak politically, that the draft, the constitutional discussion right now, and even as we gear towards having the plebiscite, the discussion, one is the centrality of it should be the fact that it is citizen, centered, and that you agree with me for the fact that there has been a call, first of all, for participation, that citizens would give their input on the most important and fundamental things, as you put it, that matters within the discourse right now. Now, the reality is that that kind of a discourse has been hijacked by the political class. And once you're mentioning what is in the stake for the big five that you've just mentioned, former governors, former deputy prime ministers, the leaders of opposition, one of the most important things that we really need to ask, while they are jostling for their positions to be the prime ministers or not, what is in stake for the country at large? And some, as hard as it is, I am still seated here asking that 10 years down the line, we have not audited our constitution.
We have.
We have not reviewed it, and tell me when did we really audit the functions of this constitution?
Between 2016, around 2016, 2017, there was the social economic audit on the 2010 document, and the report has never quite been released to the public, but it is somewhere in Parliament.
Yes. Yeah. So it is somewhere in Parliament, and it hasn't got to you and me. So we do not know exactly the fundamentals of what should be reviewed. So mine, as unpopular as it is and as centers as it is, I would recommend that some of these proposals that are made would still come back to the public for much of review, because I'm always sitting here and saying, once you amend 15 chapters of the Constitution, it's more of overhauling the Constitution. Okay? So for me as a citizen, my interest would be that could we, like you've mentioned, could we have that document released and we see what has been audited and what really needs to be amended so that we can have a conversation about a constitutional change.
Okay. Advice?
I think, in my estimation, the constitutional change that we are facing right now is almost at the right time. And we shouldn't throw a lot of stone to it. Let us look into what is inside the changes that we want to have. I have a lot of I have a lot of issues with a lot of things inside the BBI document. But of course, in judgment of a document that is about constitution making, you look at the generality about is the positive more than the negative, or is the negative more than the positive, and then you choose a side, because at the end of the day, we can never have a document that will be able to satisfy all our interests, because it's being made by humans and not angels. So when you look at what you just mentioned about the expanded executive. I agree with the concept of expanding the executive for one basic reason, that we are a highly tribal country and we must accept our problem for us to solve it. When we keep running away from the reality that we are a tribal country, then we keep having issues. When we start looking for emotional arguments like, you know, we are 42 tribes, we're only taking care of 5. This country has not been given a problem because of 42 tribes. We have always seen it's always been helter-skelter between about 4 tribes in this country. So we have to first of all face that reality. My biggest problem is how it has been put inside the BBI document. Because you realize that the BBI document says that the person who becomes second in the election will become the opposition leader. And then the prime minister will be appointed by the president from the party or from a party or coalition that will not be the same as the party or coalition of the opposition leader. So when you look at it from a 2017 election perspective, whereas most of us tend to imagine that maybe if we had BBI before 2017, then Raila Odinga would have been the prime minister. The situation is actually not that, because that would actually mean that Raila Odinga would have been the opposition leader, and then maybe the prime minister would have been someone like Ekuru Okot, because the prime minister must come from the party or coalition that is not the same as the opposition leader. And that is where the problem is going to be. Once all these, once the dust comes down to settle, that is the problem we are going to have, because most of the time we have seen that the bigwigs lump down into one coalition. So when you're going to only pick one of them to be given an office, what about the rest? And also, so that is going to give us a very big problem after post BBI.
And let us also accept the fact that a majority of this, for example, Oparanya, some of these second-term governors, they need somewhere to rest at the end of the day. Right? So the BBI provides exactly that for them. There's also a proposal to do away with the term limit for governors. You remember that, gentlemen? So we'll be talking about it in just a short while. Frederick, over to you. What's your take in terms of the BBI discourse this far and these emerging issues?
You see, first, I'm one of the people who supported the idea of expanding the executive. But along the way, after we've seen the document, I somehow disagree with the proposal. Why? Because my idea of expanding the executive was to divide power and make some individuals equally powerful, or maybe almost powerful to the president, so that some tribes and communities and regions would feel so equally represented. But when you look at the document, it tells us that the prime minister is a person who is appointed by the president, and when the president disagrees with this person, he can sack him or her at any given point. Then also how it is described that the prime minister will come from the party that is having majority. So, and you remember we are living the era of coalitions. I want to take, for example, 2017 elections where we had NASA and Jubilee. So you want to tell me that we had the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, deputy president William Ruto, then prime minister maybe somebody like Aden Duale. Then what representation are we having? Or what satisfaction are we giving the small communities or those who lost the elections? So you realize we are just doing icing our problems, but not solving our problems. And the only part I agree with the expanded executive is the part where we introduce in now the leader of majority. The opposition leader. I'm actually so much comfortable with that, because we've seen somebody who loses by less than 1 million votes going home and becoming an ordinary citizen in a country where tribalism takes the center stage. So you understand it's totally not fair at all for such to happen in such a country. So for me, I want to look at it from a way that the document was meant really to please individuals, but not really to please or rather to cure the problem in the part of expanding our executive. Because letting the prime minister serve at the mercy of the president is something that we really need to look at. And the big five, the big five has been the problem.
All right.
But look at the way we've described the prime minister. He's supposed to be a member of parliament. Then, among the 5, who is going to vie to become a member of parliament so as to secure the position of the prime minister?
Just hold that thought, because we got some bills to pay.
There's a lot of,
as soon as we pay
a lot
them
of conversion going on.
We shall be
here,
back with this conversation after these messages. Thank you.
Why are you clapping?
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
KBC, in collaboration with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, is broadcasting enhanced out-of-class learning on radio, television and online. Catch the lessons every weekday on KBC Channel 1 from 2 to 4 p.m, on KBC English Service and 15 FM from 9:15 a.m. to 5 p.m, and Radio Taifa from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. KBC English Service, Radio Taifa and 15 FM are also available countrywide on the free-to-air Signet digital TV platform, or log on to www.kbc.co.ke for live streaming, or download the KBC Online app on Google Play Store. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, ensuring learning no matter what.
Kalenda ya mamasta majima bazenga. She's so expensive, okay. Niweke kwa inamba buda boss tuma kitu na tumepia na ya kutoa. Time already, it's time already. Time already, it's time already. Make I tell you what you love for a bullet. Baby, come and your body, body, yeah. Back it up right away, yeah, right away, right away. Gang. Rada chafu nikishikaga, hizo chafu bana shika shash. Pale bedroom kila siku bash, hini lynch ndagi kumba.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
How can the present ruler try to give a bad name for this entire kingdom? And a very brave boy.
A boy? He will show this world that the right to rule is not just confined.
I wish I could have told you that I love you so much, Ashok.
The son of Bindusar Ashok has been killed. We will wipe out the Maurya dynasty from this planet.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
If you help me, I'll get you out of the country.
Oh yeah?
I want you to help me get back Ramon. That woman Fabiola stole him from me.
I'm just so happy.
Congratulations. Congratulations on the baby, on the house, on everything.
Thank you very much,
Congratulations.
Mr. Antonio.
We're about to make the best investment of our lives.
Won't be indebted to a bank because of a stupid loan roll and the paying double that amount. No, my dear, no.
You can't let her go. You need to bring her back.
Where do I look for her? My baby! My baby! Where's my baby?
In love with Ramon.
Karibu sana to the program in case you're just joining us, and welcome back if you've been with us since 8 a.m. This is Ion Politics. My name is Samuel Njoroge Terian Chebet. Thank you so much for this heads up. You're saying list of names I should stay away from this festive season. Nikisikia nikiitwa hizi majina nipotee. All right? It's a trap. The first one is mkubwa, tajiri yangu, mzito, mtu wangu, kiongozi, chairman, boss yangu, director, mkurugenzi, Buddha boss, okay? Omwami, Monene, senior, kaka, governor, Mutogoria, Mhesh, and guess the latest entry? Bazoo. So stay away from those names. Ukisikia unaitwa hip-hop. So we are back with a gentleman analyzing the politics of the day. You've just found us taking a look at the BBI document and some of the sentiments that were expressed at the Jamhuri Day celebrations on Saturday. But we need to move on to yet another pertinent issue. Come tomorrow, we'll be having 3 elective regions in this country go through a by-election. We have Msambweni constituency, we have Lakeview ward in Nakuru County, as well as Kahawa Wendani in Kiambu County. The outcome is touted to be a litmus test for the possible referendum that will be coming up anytime between April and June next year. But will it be? These are some of the issues we need to dissect and also invite your opinion on it. I'd like to begin with you, Frederick, in terms of the campaign that has been mounted in Msambweni, Lakeview, and Kahawa Wendani. What do you make of it so far?
As obviously, our politics attracts a lot of sideshows, and they forget about the ideology and selling the person who is vying for the position and goes now for the top 2 or the people who are contesting for the presidential seat. You see, in Msambweni, it has been forgotten that it is a parliamentary position, and now they are talking about the deputy president and Raila Amolo Odinga. Anyone who steps foot in Msambweni forgets about the people of Msambweni, forgets about the problem in Msambweni, and now they want to sell Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto. You just heard the banter between ODM, SG and Aisha Juma. It was so much unfortunate that people in Msambweni have to decide who to become their MP based on what the 2 leaders were saying, because that was so personal and something we really don't expect in public. But anyway, given our politics, you know, it's not supposed to be that boring. It's good also to bring in such statements, though not with the way it was put, but politics being a game, then the game needs to be nice.
But it is cost. That's how they talk.
Actually it is, but you understand they forget about what is all about the politics. Nobody was talking about what the 2 candidates were going to do for the people of Msambweni. Nobody was talking about the ideology. Nobody was telling us, like, for example, what project am I going to take when I come the MP of this area? They were all talking about abuses, throwing the banters, and all now selling the 2 guys who are at the top.
That is what appeals to the public. Have you ever noticed that?
And when you say that, I remember I always say that if you want to change the leaders, then you have to change the people. Because when the 2 leaders were speaking, people were busy celebrating. And I was wondering, if somebody stood and spoke about the ideology and maybe sell the manifesto, would he be clapped for?
Okay.
Definitely not. So we really need to change our politics to be issue-based, and if we have to bring in such issues, let them not be the center stage, but they should come as sideshows, and let the ideology sell first.
All right. What was that Aisha Jumwa said, though? Atiye haogopi nini?
I think our women
Bikira. Oh, wow. It was just a cue. Usiseme, the show is rated G.
He's a
but we had, on a rather serious note, we had the Prime Minister, or the former Prime Minister, say that this will be a litmus test for the upcoming BBI referendum. And he said that the way he's going to trounce Deputy President William Ruto in Msambweni, as he did in Kibra, is going to prove to Kenyans that he has the upper hand. Orogo.
Well, everything, just like my colleague who Sasha actually has seen the light of the day, and I'm happy with the sentiments. You know, we are graduating to be be compact. So right now, what really happens?
Have your moment.
Yeah. What happens in the political scene is that matters of national discourse are always finding their way through, the constituency or the ward politics. And I think that is something that is inevitable. It is fortunate or unfortunately that these by-elections are happening at a state where we are having a constitutional discourse and, a succession politics for 2022. It is expected that would really cloud, the ideas of such a campaign. But you see, that be it said, the vitriol that we saw yesterday between Sifuna and Aisha Jumwa, and you've confirmed that the citizens and the voter, this person called the voter that we've been talking about each and every time, and sometimes when we have an opportunity, we can delve into the psychology of a Kenyan voter. And exactly know where the problem do we always have when it comes to cheering and jeering for our leaders, but then we complain later the kind of crop of leaders we get. Because when we are getting into politics that is not ideological based, that is not value based, that has no, really people cannot listen to manifesto well, and people thrive in abuse, and people, sell on sexist issues and comments. And you see, we wonder then, what kind of leaders are we going to yield? But these politics that we're seeing in all the three by-elections that are coming, and of course the reality is that when the election's outcome will be looked into through the lens of succession politics, through the lens of referendum. And I always say that, as Raila has put it, the former premier has got a very cunning way of convincing voters to make the voting and to make the elections to be so personal to his legacy. And this is what always sweep through. And it might be seen in this campaign, because he tells people it's all about me. It's all about my legacy. My capacity to mobilize, my capacity to challenge the forces is under indictment. And when people hear this, then this also sways the kind of voting that we are going to see. So I appeal that one of the most interesting things that I've seen is that these elections are not really devoid of mobilizing for political violence, even as much as we have sharp ideological difference. But one thing we are not seeing that, which we need to appreciate, that there is no incitement to violence. There is no mobilization of ethnic compact as we expect. So any voter, any political leader, and I'm advising you, looking at the camera right now, that the elections that are coming is going to shock. One, because we are having young people, generation that is gengeton, that has no any affiliation. If you tell them about multi-party democracy in 1992, they don't identify with that. If you tell them about,
Is it that they don't identify or they are not aware?
They are not aware.
They are not, in both. Whether they are not aware, but me, I see it as a point where they don't know, they don't want to know, and to them, this is why the hustler narrative is selling. And I'm not promoting this in this show, because definitely you are telling them what they identify with. So any political leader, any campaign, anchor your manifesto to target these young people who were born between 2000 and the rest.
You do realize, though, that over years we've done exactly that. Capitalize on the young people. That is why Raila would call himself Rao. That is why Uhuru would be called Unye, Weta. You know, in a bid to just identify with that voting bloc. But has it really ever translated into real gain on the ground? And that is a question probably you could be pondering on even as I move to advice. We've seen similar contest in Kibra just recently between Jubilee and ODM. But the thinking around these by-elections is that, is it even democratic enough for a party to say it will not field a candidate in favor of another party? Advice.
Sam, the election we are heading into is going to have a generation of young people who are born in the year 2000. They have just turned about 20 years.
And it's risky.
And
is it risky?
That is a generation of decennials. These are people whose concentration span is not up to 2 minutes. That's why
what did you just say?
I call them decennials.
Okay.
You know, when you start visiting.
Is it jina ni kubwa manze?
Pesa kidogo.
On behalf of the viewer, lazima tuambie decennials ni nini.
We are protesting.
So what I'm basically saying is, these are generation of young people who, their concentration span, even in terms of content, you realize that today, even when you are a production person, your content is not supposed to go beyond about 4 minutes because that's their concentration span. You realize there's a generation of people who, unlike before, when our generation loved the parties and such, these are people who mostly party on Wi-Fi, and parties get lit on the internet. So you are not going to really tell me that these are a generation of people who are going to appreciate a wheelbarrow. They don't love work. These people don't, they want the easy way out. And that's why today you will see 18-year-olds creating YouTube channels and stuff like that. But that said and done, if I can come back to the issue about the by-elections that are happening in Msambweni, in Kahawa, and Lakeview, the more the tension and the more the vitriol in an election, then basically that is the more the tense the election is. That means the election is a very tight race. When you look at it, the reason why there is tension, the reason why there is vitriol, the reason why there is insult all over is because there is tension. That simply shows you that there is no person who is sure of a win, especially in Msambweni. Because we're not seeing that vitriol in Kahawa. But that shows you that in Msambweni, everyone, it's a 50-50 contest, and that's why temperatures are getting hot with the moment. The unfortunate thing about our elections today, Sam, is that many people, in fact, most of the Kenyans don't know the two candidates who are battling it out from Msambweni by-election. But they know the deputy president, they know Raila Odinga, they know what Sifuna said, and they know what Aisha Jumwa said, but they don't know exactly what did the candidate say. And that means that with time as a country, we are degenerating in our politics, where it's no longer about ideals and it's no longer about the people who want to represent us. It is about the super gods. It's about the godfathers of the people who want to represent us.
It has always been like that, though.
But it is degenerating, Sam, to a point where it's
unprecedented levels.
Yeah, it's becoming too much. You look at what happened in Kibra, and people were not able to even know who Imran Okoth is. People didn't know who the footballer is, apart from him just being a footballer. But they knew about William Ruto. They knew about. So with time, we are running away from the realities that the people we vote for are the ones who represent us, and not necessarily their godfathers and there's the super gods above them. That is the unfortunate scenario. But when I look at it, Sam, I would easily tell you that in Msambweni, as much as there is tension and whatever, I'm confident that. And I'm almost sure that ODM will still win that seat. In Kahawa, I think the Jubilee candidate, who is the brother of the late MCA, will be able to take that seat. I'm not very sure about Lakeview. I've not followed the politics of Lakeview.
It's a bit hush-hush.
Yeah,
in
but
Lakeview.
I think for the two, I can confidently put it that way. And of course, immediately after, the Tanga side of politics will say it was rigged.
Well,
and it's a training so that they start getting used to saying that.
Talking about Tanga and what you've said, I'd like to come to you, Frederick, in terms of, is it legit, is it fair, is it okay for the deputy president to throw his weight behind the independent candidate in Msambweni? As much as people have argued, by the way, as the deputy party leader, you should respect party position.
You see, for political reasons, the deputy president is very much okay. Because you understand, he never supported the idea that they should not field a candidate in Msambweni. He was for the idea that Jubilee Party should have someone vying for the position. So for him to go for the independent candidate, it was expected, and it is something that obviously for political reasons should happen. But again, the only problem I have is the moment he goes against the will and stand of the party, then later on he comes in a public event and behaves like he belongs to the party and supports the boss, and he uses so much good words to describe the boss. Then one wonders, like, is he a two-man in one or something? Because you really have to put yourself so much clear. But politics being what it is, nobody expected the deputy president to be in the shadow and not to speak about politics. I would imagine Msambweni without William Samoei Ruto. You know, it would be something else. It would be so much even boring to the ODM group to campaign in Msambweni without having the deputy president or Tanga faction having some interest in that region. But his participation makes the politics of Mombasa now so much active. We've seen now Governor Joe and Kingi from Kilifi now trying to muscle their support and showing the people that we are the kings. So that one plays very well with the politicians and the politics of the day. But again, that you know now, like Kahawa, you don't see ODM in Kahawa because it is obvious. ODM could not field a candidate in Kahawa.
But Wiper did.
Wiper did because Wiper is a 50-50. It is not a party that attracts a lot of hate.
Wow.
But you see, ODM is a party that will attract a lot of hate. William Ruto's side will attract a lot of hate. So some regions will not find the two, but in other regions you must.
Why the use of hate, though? Why don't you say attracts a lot of love?
You see, love and hate in equal measures. Love where they are loved and hate where they are not wanted. That's why you see like Msambweni is so much heated, because there is a good group that feels that Tanga is not the best group for them. And there's the other one that feels ODM now is the best for them. That's why you see the love and hate comes in equal measures. And if I was to advise the deputy president, he has done the best thing to be in Msambweni, because that is the moment now to have a head count of hustlers in that region. And not only Msambweni, but it is now representing the entire coast region. We are going to have people identify themselves and say that we have this percentage in Mombasa that are hustlers and this percent that are not hustlers.
I feel that's a bit sarcastic. It's like you're saying welcome to lose again, as you did in Kibra.
Of course.
Of course.
You did well based on percentage.
Based on percentage.
Sam.
Let me be neutral here, and I'm coming to you, Orogo, on this, even as you give us your rejoinder. We had Ali Hassan Joho yesterday talk to the deputy president and told him, kama wewe ni mwanaume, acha kunitumia watu ambao hawako kwa level, kuja kwa ground, tujibizane mundu kumundu. Orogo, over to you.
I think just quick one. Somebody should tell Hassan Joho that his caliber is not Deputy President William Ruto. I think he's used DP to catapult himself and probably think that he can actually, play to that league of the Deputy President. Now, Sam, when it comes always to the issues of Kibra by-elections, I personally was involved, and I know what happened to
close to your heart
to that kind of election. And when you asked me why the deputy president should take the direction that he took, because I understand what happened to us in Jubilee boardroom, to them to settle on what happened in Mariga's issue. So when it comes to these by-elections and political parties, I can tell you confidently that Jubilee is not Democratic Party, as everybody thinks.
Orogo, we were with you. We were analyzing.
Now, let me say this. Okay, let me say this.
Fungua roho.
The party has got structures. Okay, they are even to the level of high structures like the Governing Council of Jubilee, who by that chance ought to have advised the Jubilee National Elections Board to conduct free, fair nominations for a candidate that is going to Msambweni. That did not happen. And at that level, I fault the leadership of Jubilee Party, including the deputy president, because if the party had made a decision not to fill a candidate, then that ought to be a decision by the party. So for me, I think what goes on in these political parties, and they're confirming that they are, they are not vehicles of democracy, confirmation that they are individual parties, and confirmation that these parties lack internal democracy. On Msambweni issue, my take ought to have been that the Jubilee would have filled a candidate. That is what I believe. Not an independent candidate, but a candidate that is flanked by Jubilee. Because that then betrays the party's, democratic right to fill a candidate for participation. But that be it what has been done, I still believe that I fault advice that should not be obvious that ODM is going to win Msambweni by-elections. Each and everybody, and we've seen what is happening, if that is what to go by, that all candidates are having equal level playing ground in terms of campaign. And all of them has got an equal chance of, or anybody, be it Faisal, be it, I think it's Ali Bog or somebody from ODM, and all other candidates, to become the MP of that area. My only appeal is that can the people of Msambweni give themselves an opportunity to listen to the leaders? And I agree with you, advice, that it has been clamped on the national issues, and the campaign has been name-based, and campaign has been touting a referendum issue minus forgetting that what really is within the issues that are affecting people in Msambweni. Because this then will become another cycle, it becomes another horse trading, and we lose the gist of what people in Msambweni want.
We can see the passion and emotion even as you express yourself, Orogo. And it was you, there was also Samuel Masaki, right? And a host of others who wanted to get the nomination for Jubilee, for Kibra. And I saw just the other day, Samuel Masaki, how are you? Good morning, in case you're watching, say that he endorses the BBI. Yeye aliweka hii siasa kwa kifua. Kwa kifua, akapumua. Kaenda. Masaki alishapumua. Na ikaenda. So, done bad. It's just a heads up, Orogo. Hapa hivi. Tunasonga mbele ama namna gani? So, yes, advice.
Sam, I'm wondering why Orogo is taking away my right to prophesy the Msambweni by-election, and is getting too offended when I talk about who I think will win the election. I think I come from the backdrop of the politics that you don't need to be on the fence. An election, you have to take a side and go with it. And that's why in my analysis of the campaign in Msambweni, I look at it and feel that the ODM candidate will win. It is a right of anyone else to think that the independent candidate will win. So we don't need, but although I understand Orogo, because lately they have been very keen on consensus on everything. So Orogo, his party and his bosses. And maybe that's why even in Msambweni he wants a consensus where maybe all the candidates can be put to a boardroom and the MP-ship can be shared equally. I think it's high time we get to the realities that when it's about election, we have to look at it, and when we are analyzing for the Kenyans, we don't necessarily have to always end up telling them it's 50-50. Sometimes we also look at it and we can be able to see which direction it's going, and we can be either wrong or we can be right. Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Traditionally, gentlemen, we do take a break on this show at 9, so we'd like to do that. When we return, we shall be having closing comments in as far as the discussion that we've been having right here is concerned. Keep it. Good morning, Kenya.
a love from the past will mark the love from today.
I love you, Mauro. I love you like I have never loved before.
Now the same obsession that ruined the past will try to destroy the present. Only this time, love will have more than one obstacle ahead.
I need a doctor to tend to her right away. Please, miss. A doctor. Call a doctor.
Loving you is all I want.
Athletics Kenya is credited for starting organized athletics following its formation in 1950 when it was known as the Kenya Amateur Athletics Association, to become a powerhouse with great achievements to behold. And that is why this Tuesday, the 15th of December, Athletics Kenya will be commemorating 70 years of existence. Your true sports partner, KBC Channel 1, will ensure you don't miss out of such a prestigious occasion as they honor the men and women who made it happen. Let's join the celebrations from 10 a.m. in a true Kenyan spirit.
So welcome to the home stretch, a session of Ion Politics this Monday, and we keep calling on you to join us online and let us know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for those of you that have already contributed. In the course of time, we shall be sampling your feedback. I'd like to get the thoughts of my panel in as far as what is happening with the judiciary is concerned. Outgoing Chief Justice, that is David Maraga, over the weekend there were hashtags that were trending in relation to his contribution and scorecard as president of the judiciary this far. Now, owing to that, his exit, we have now Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu expected to act as Chief Justice for the period within which Kenya is expected to have a new person take over the helm of the judiciary. I'd like to begin with you, Frederick. The scorecard of Maraga this far at the helm of the judiciary, how is it for you?
Okay, I have to say first, the bedrock of a country is its respect for the rule of law. And that literally means that you need to have a judiciary and judges who make decisions irrespective of the direction the current political wind is blowing towards. So for Maraga, he's a man who has respected the rule of law. He's made decisions that have gone against the wind. People have thought that the wind was going to sweep him away, but the man has stood so firm despite his advancing age, and he stood so firm to defend the constitution. And he's not so much loved because of that, because politicians have expected him to make decisions that are so much political, that favor certain political factions. But the man has stood firm. Though he has come and complained in public, that has been one of his undoing, complaining about caste and the rest, things that do not matter. But on the constitution and obeying the rule of law, I give it to Maraga. And his successor, not really Philomena Mwilu, but whoever is coming in now to take up the position, I want to expect him to be a person who will stand by the stand of Maraga. And if anything, better it so much than that people will understand why we needed an independent judiciary. Because for quite some time we've had a judiciary whereby all the decisions come from state house, all the decisions come from the political class, but for once we've had a judiciary that has made a decision against a sitting government, and that is so much recommendable. And I think going by the decision, we can see now some light coming in that we are going to have some institution in this country that are so much independent. Judiciary being the third arm of government, supposed to be so much independent that politicians will not even dare speak against judiciary or bring such a case that is not worth it to the judiciary and expect to win. So whoever is coming in, let us conduct a good interview and find the person who stands by the rule of law and the constitution of Kenya.
Orogo.
Well, I think briefly is that the outgoing CJ has set the bar high. when it comes to expediting matters of justice, making sure that judiciary remains independent at its ease. Pundits have different, opinion about the CJ, which is within their democratic right of expression. But one, here is a man who's stunned the whims and the challenges of, court rulings, because it is the judiciary where many Kenyans run to seek for justice when they don't get it anywhere. So it actually confirms his word, and what I can be able to say, Maraga has run a good race and is finished well, and is confirmed that, you see, the greatness of a country lies in the fidelity of the Constitution and the rule of law, and above all, the fear of God. And he's exiting as a man who has shown that, we are able to make it when we become, paragons of virtue, and above all, when we are integral in what we do.
Okay.
But now there's a problem, that there's a floodgates of litigation within the judiciary that we are seeing. Well, we are expecting that there's a change of guard in the judiciary. There's so much that is going on, including what you just alluded to when we were beginning the discussion, that even the mention and the election within the JSC becomes so contested. It becomes so, becomes so popular that you wonder what forces are working within JSC, and what is it that we are able to see in the coming few months. So I think it's matters that we really need to put into interrogation right now.
Okay. Advice?
Yeah, I think the CJ Maraga has finished his term. Of course, we have an array of opinion about how the term was. In my estimation, it was a political term, because in my estimation, the CJ concentrated more on what gave his office headlines more than what necessarily benefited the common mwananchi who deserves justice at the bottom line. Because most of the things that we're able to see the CJ be praised about were more issues that were more political, issues that gave him a lot of maybe media attention and a lot of public relations. This is a CJ that I saw attend political functions. This is, I think, the CJ since independence who has done the highest number of press conferences. So to me, he was more a very political Chief Justice. I don't see a lot of work that benefited the mwananchi from the CJ, but more or less I respect what he did, and I think he has retired well.
All right. Gentlemen, we need to close it at that. Orogo, it's not personal that tumekunyanganya mic. Just to clarify, we're coming to a close of Eye on Politics today. Thank you so much for your contribution and for your time. It could be our last for the year. Okay? It just could be our last for the year. So let me just take this opportunity to wish the panelists a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2021. I believe we'll take this to a whole new level come next year. Okay?
Definitely.
So in the event we are not able to meet on the 21st, guys, enjoy your Christmas. We shall be talking in between. Sawa sawa. Thank you, Daniel Orogo. Thank you, Frederick Sasia. And thank you, Advice Mundalo, for your contribution to the show. My name is Samuel Njoroge. We are taking a breather. Dorina Range is coming up next with a traffic update, which will be followed by the the family item of the day with Jane Wamboy. Good morning.
Well, and at exactly 10 minutes past 9 a.m., time for our last traffic link today. We are still focusing on Ngong Road, so we just begin from where we left. Actually, that is around the city mortuary roundabout. I had mentioned to you earlier that this is again one of those busy roundabouts, simply because it connects to major roads coming from Ngong Road. Again, heading over to Ngong Road as you head over to the city center, branching off to Mbagathi, again one of those also main roads as well. And again, the other side of Valley Road. Look at how it is looking like in terms of traffic. At least as of now, things have opened up altogether, unlike how it was earlier on. So what you're just spotting right now, or better still as of now, it's the orange all through, which is an indicator that traffic is really still building up, but at least a manageable kind of traffic. Also, I had told you earlier that this being one of those major roundabouts, again, traffic police are normally stationed up bright and early to try and see how best they can control traffic, given the fact that it's one of those major roundabouts. And now, when I just mentioned that traffic police being stationed, it is actually on every section of this roundabout. Now, this simply means, as you leave the city mortuary roundabout, branching off to Ngong Road, again, also as you leave the roundabout, still branching off to the same road as you head over to the city center, and also branching off to Mbagathi Way as well as Valley Road. So every of this section, I can tell you for sure that oftentimes the traffic police are normally stationed at least to try and see how best they can do that. I had also told you that still along this route, one of the reasons as to why we could be spotting the kind of traffic we are seeing could also be, again, because of those ongoing roadworks, especially along this particular road. Then this is inclusive of those 3 footbridges that they're still trying to install, which I had told you that it's going to take a period of 18 months, as well as the completion of the 3rd phase of this particular route, which begins from Dagoretti Corner all the way to Karen. The 1st and the 2nd phase are already complete and already opened up to the public. Now, coming back to traffic, looks like things are really thickening, especially along Mbagathi Way. I had also told you that on this particular route is also one of those good alternative routes, especially for those that are coming from Langata Road, given the fact that Langata Road, again, is one of those busy roads, especially in terms of traffic and in this early morning hour. So ultimately, Mbagathi Way becomes always is actually one of those good alternative routes for those coming from that specific area. Now, it looks like, yes, it still could serve as one of those good alternative routes, because clearly as of now, there's barely any kind of heavy traffic, just traffic beginning to slightly build up, and this is past the high-rise junction as you come to the city center using Mbagathi Way all through. Now, let me just expand that for you. Now, this is what I mean when I'm telling you that it still could serve as a good alternative route. This is because it is green all through, and this is on both lanes. So again, as you leave Langata Road, branching off to Mbagathi Way before you get to the roundabout there, which is the city mortuary roundabout, and also as you leave the roundabout, the city mortuary, again, still coming through Mbagathi Way before you get to the other side of Langata Road. So this is how it's looking like on this particular stretch. So again, if at all you're coming from Langata Road and you don't want to do the traffic then, especially I can tell you for sure, especially around the Nyayo Stadium roundabout is normally heavy kind of traffic, so you can use this as your alternative route all through, branching off to the city mortuary roundabout, heading over through Ngong Road as you head over to the city center. Also, just a quick look around the roundabout before we look at Valley Road. Again, traffic throughout the entire roundabout, but I've mentioned to you why we are seeing what we are seeing on this particular roundabout. So yes, there's traffic, but at least a manageable kind of traffic. That's why we're seeing that orange color there. Just coming to look at traffic along Valley Road. Again, not one of those busy roads. And this is how it's looking like in terms of traffic, especially as of now. So yes, traffic building up, but not really that heavy traffic. So again, for our viewers coming from the areas along Ngong Road, those estates I mentioned to you earlier, then again, this also could be a good time for you to do that, because in as much as this traffic, it's really not that heavy traffic like how we'd expect. And again, it's really very interesting because just I've mentioned to you, the ongoing roadworks on this particular route, and this is just how it is looking like. There's really no that heavy kind of traffic on that stretch. Away also from the city mortuary roundabout, as you head over to the city center, still sticking with Ngong Road, that stretch just looks like what you'd expect, especially in this early morning hour, the heavy kind of traffic and some sections moving at a pretty slow pace, and that is why we are seeing that red color there. But also, this is again only on that lane as you are heading over to the city center, which is again one of those things that we'd expect to see, because while you're heading over to the CBD, basically what you're seeing is what we would expect to see. On the other side, though, green all through, meaning, it's just a smooth sailing. So if at all you're leaving city center, coming to Ngong Road, or even the estates there alike, then again, it's a smooth sailing for you, because on that stretch, there is no traffic at all. But time and again, I have also mentioned to you that this is one of those roads that will continue to just keep track for you, simply because of those ongoing road works. There's still that installation of those 3 footbridges that are slated to be installed on this particular route, and this is because of the expansion of this specific route from a single carriage road to a dual carriage road. That expansion process is what has necessitated the installation of these 3 footbridges on designated parts. One will be around Kenyatta Hospital, the next one will be around Kenya Science, and this is just, again, all in a bit at least reduce the number of death cases along those particular, along this particular route. So the reason why we'll keep tabs with this specific route is because they haven't yet started on that process. All they mention is that it's going to take a period of 18 months, and also not forgetting the completion of the 3rd phase of this route. That is why we're keeping tabs, at least just see how all of this works will be affecting the traffic flow along Ngong Road. But as of now, this is how it is looking like in terms of traffic on what was our focus today, which was Ngong Road.
All right, welcome back. In case you are just joining us, this is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Jenomboy Kama Kawaida. We are thoroughly glad that you choose to start your morning with us, and you are right in time for our family conversation for the day. And as I had mentioned earlier, today we're going to be talking about depression and just trying to understand the healing process that one needs to go through when dealing with depression. As always, we welcome you to be part of this conversation. Talk to us via our hashtag on Twitter, that is Good Morning Kenya. Our official station handle ever remains at KBC Channel 1. My handle is a General Boy across all the social media platforms. Now, just looking at some stats that are, of course, in the public domain, when it comes to depression, women are twice as likely to develop a depressive disorder throughout their lifetime. All right. And when it comes to seeking help and treatment where depression is involved, only 1 in 3 people goes this direction. Why is that so? That is what we want to understand today and get to know the healing process. I have with me 2 gentlemen with me in studio this morning to help better understand this conversation. I'll start with the gent to my extreme, or rather to my left. That is James Kirimi, who is a depression survivor. Karibu sana, James.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for making time to be with us this morning.
Thank you.
And on my right on the screen, we have Reverend Dr. William Sifuna, who is a counseling psychologist, majorly focusing on stress, trauma, depression, and mental health management. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for making time to be with us this morning.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Now, I want to start with you, James, and maybe you could just lay the foundation for us in regards to this conversation. In brief, just kindly give us a summarized version of your story.
It's something that starts slowly.
Yes.
It doesn't. You don't just wake up one day and find yourself depressed. It builds up with time. For like mine, it took 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's something that I was going through, and then it was just piling up. I was not speaking out. Yeah.
And at what point did you become aware, or rather came to the acceptance that this could actually be depression? What were some of the signs that, were hinting towards depression before you sought help, rather?
I started feeling detached from people. I didn't want to talk to people anymore. I didn't want to go to work. I just felt like being alone. Yeah.
Now, let me come to you, Doctor. When it comes to depression, the first stages in which it presents itself, how much time does one need to look out for these signs and symptoms to be able to understand, or rather get the diagnosis that this could actually be pointing to depression?
First of all, I appreciate the fact that James is here
to
narrate his story.
Absolutely.
And I believe I got into what I know and what I've studied to understand. Is that depression is in different types. First of all, I would like to describe what depression is.
Absolutely.
Depression is just a group of conditions that elevate, these are characterized by elevating the mood of somebody or lowering the mood of somebody because of the issues that are surrounding him.
Yes.
Or maybe a pile-up of kind of stress conditions that maybe have attacked the person.
Yes.
In the meantime, we find that there is no duration, specific duration or exact cause that you can say this is what has caused this depression. Now it depends on the person, him or herself. And as you said earlier, is that we find that the conditions of causing depression in women is more higher than in men. So we find that particularly a person like him, he has gone through a series of situations. And these conditions that maybe made him to be depressed, it depends now on what kind of situation he was in. Like in his story, you can find that there are several kind of pile-up conditions that he went through. We have the type of maybe bipolar, the kind of maybe environment or maybe lowering of esteem because of you have not achieved a particular thing, or maybe the demands are so high, and maybe the working condition, weather, such like environmental. So you find that at times depression can come to you, attack you, because you are trying to meet your desires and they're not meeting them. And other people coming from sides and they meet their whatever you have been desiring for. So as per his condition, I believe the kind of depression episodes that he went through may include, at times when you look at somebody, you can see symptoms, some symptoms that can maybe show you that a particular person is going through depression.
Yes.
Like what he has just mentioned. He detached himself. The kind of detachment means the cause of depression was caused by people.
Yes.
So he thinks it's not even now viable for him to continue interacting with other people. So he detached himself. But what I want to say is that there is no particular cause of stress or maybe depression that you can place on somebody unless somebody goes through evaluation. Then you understand this particular person needs a particular kind of approach.
All right. And
Yes.
today we want to majorly focus on the healing process.
Yes.
And from where you stand as a medic, how would you define the healing process when it comes to depression?
The healing process in terms of depression, one is there are conditions whereby somebody should seek for medication. So medication means the person who is affected is mentally ill. He has gone through depression, such a condition that has been persistent for a long time, such that now his emotions have been affected. His self-esteem has been affected. And then mentally, you find that the person is not stable at all. You learn through, when you see the characteristics of such somebody who is not interested in performing particular assignments or maybe even performing duties. You find that even sometimes you find people who desert their jobs.
Yes.
Such a people, when you carry them around and then you go through evaluation as you do some counseling, you find that such a person was depressed, but nobody was there for him. So what he does, if it means at the workplace, he'll just go away, move away from the workplace. And eventually you find that now such a person will be surcharged by desertion. Even in the families, you find that somebody is depressed without the partner knowing.
Yes.
And then you find that, okay, so and so separated and ran away. When you find that person and then listen to him or her, well, you find that he or she was going through depression that people didn't understand.
Okay.
So the healing process is, there is a way to process this depression, healing, or manage. It means proper management that can bring a sort of healing. And through evaluation, you find that at times, somebody might need what we call treatment, go for medication. And that's why you find that there are the hospitals that maybe deal with such a specific kind of treatment.
Yes.
Mental hospitals, whereby we have qualified counselors. I'm one of the counselors in the mental hospitals. At times I go there I follow up to my officers who are there, who have been affected in a way, and we have brought them to the hospital to seek for medical treatment. I go there and do the same. Because when I was in training in Israel concerning mental health, I found out that each and every person has at least a percentage of mental problem. Once something triggers you, you become mentally unstable. Even your performance, or maybe the way you handle things changes. The way of behavior also changes. So you find that at such a level, you need to scrutinize. What kind of approach should you give to a particular patient of depression?
All right, and we'll be getting to that when it comes to getting the proper diagnosis when it comes to depression, because I believe there are different forms of depression.
Oh, yes.
We'll be getting to that in a bit, but let me come to you, James. At what point did you decide to seek professional help?
The good thing with me was, the good thing that I can say I was lucky, I had people around me who noticed. And they were the one who at least looked for help for me. Yeah.
Were you willing to get the help that the people, your loved ones were trying to help you with?
I was very much willing, because it's not a good thing. It's a feeling that it doesn't make you feel good. Yeah. It's something that it's hurting. You find yourself, sometimes you're locking yourself in the house the whole day. It might go even for weeks. Yeah.
And you eventually accepted their help?
Yeah, I accepted the help.
All right. Now, coming back to getting the proper diagnosis for the different forms of depression that are there, why is this even important before you start treatment?
First, there's what we call the first approach to such a person or such a patient is therapy. For any kind of treatment to begin well, the person who is suffering should be understood well. First of all, you need somebody to give a big ear to listen to the patient. In the process of maybe narrating the story of what has affected the person is where now you diagnose and see this person went through ABCD. You cannot just maybe take somebody who is depressed and take him for treatment, because you don't know the kind of treatment he needs or she needs. So the best thing is that through therapy is when we find support group, therapy support group, whereby cognitively you find that some, as you recognize, maybe try to sensitize what is maybe happening. You can find even a patient who is not talking. So you try to use all means to talk to that person and maybe open the ear to listen to him, to make him open up so he can now express himself or herself. Then from there, you look at the behavior of a person during the therapy. You look at the behavior. Psychologically, you will see that there's what we call psychoeducation. You educate this person to come up and then maybe to seek for help so that he or she can help the counselor to help him or her. Then we find that at times it can be a family issue. So we have the family therapist. We have people who are very good at that, and I'm one of them, family therapists, whereby you find that as you talk to them, you have to neutralize. You don't maybe accuse, post accusation, or maybe point fingers at people. You just have to look for a common soft landing, whereby now you begin from there to at least elevate this person to come out and explore what they are going through. And from there you find that now you will have to go through some sessions of exploring what has really eaten this person. Then from there you now know the specific kind of approach of treatment.
And in going through this assessment phase, is it also where you get to determine whether the form of depression that they are presenting is as a result of factors that have triggered this and not as a result of other underlying conditions?
Exactly, that's exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the time now you can now see the degree even and the level of depression the person has gone through. And then now you can now see the type of treatment maybe to administer to the person.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the treatments that are there, I came across three major ones.
Yes.
There's the psychotherapy, there's medication, and there's the ECT, electroconvulsive therapy.
Yes.
When it comes to just dealing with the mild forms of depression, which one is recommended to start with before you get to the extreme forms of depression and how they are treated?
Yeah, the one that is recommended first, as I said, the person to understand. You also make the patient to understand that he or she is going through this. And this, if it can persist from there, maybe it persistently affect him that manner without intervention, it will graduate into something else. So he also or she may be told the consequences. So once you see there are levels. You can't just jump to one of the treatment that is so maybe sophisticated without beginning from maybe the talk first. Then from there are different kinds of examination, maybe tests. The person should go some tests. From the tests, then the doctor, who is now specialist, will now determine the kind of treatment, kind of medication to be applied.
Now, James, let me come to you. When it comes to the treatment that you underwent, which forms did you get? Did you get the psychotherapy, where you just got to talk about what you're going through, or did you go the medication way?
I talked about what I went through, and before I got to that point, I was first of all taken to the hospital, and then I was given medication. Yeah.
Which one did you found to be more helpful to you?
Both were helpful because I needed the medication first so that I can start the other process. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when it comes to now dealing with a patient who has presented with depression, and they would rather go the medication way as opposed to talking, is it something that you are open to as a psychiatrist when it comes to listening to what the patient wants?
Yes. Yeah, at times during the evaluation, you find that there's a particular patient who is even aggressive, patient who is even uncooperative, a patient who behaves like as if he's out of his mind. Such a people, at times, first of all, you have to give them some treatment. That's what we call pharmacotherapy. Maybe this is a mainstay of treatment for maybe bipolar kind of depression or maybe disorder. So once somebody is given some medication, that will calm his maybe reactions.
Yes.
Then from there, you find that as we continue now, once somebody has been calmed down, now the counselor therapist can find time now to maybe come in and talk to the person. Then from there, the other treatments now take place. In the process, the person will be continuing to be to go through some sessions of counseling.
Yes.
So that the management is that we just have to create the environment to the person. Not only medication can treat, but it can only calm down or maybe limit the reactions. But eventually now to pave way for the therapist to have his way or her way to at least counsel the person to bring order in that mind of the person.
Now, when it comes to dealing with triggers, I'd like to come back to you, James. After you were done with your treatment, how were you able to adjust to triggers that, would set you off previously?
It's a process that sometimes you have even to change your lifestyle so that you can, at least when you meet those things next time, they don't take you back to where you are from. And what
kind of adjustments did you have to make to just be able to get to a point where these triggers do not affect you as they did before?
Lifestyle, emotional balance, yeah, such things. And one thing I've come to discover about depression and recovery, the bigger percentage, it's about you. It's about what you want yourself. Yeah. So you first of all have to accept yourself, and then now you should start working on yourself. Yeah.
All right. So you have the biggest part to play when it comes to the recovery process. Still on that same breath of dealing with triggers, what is the best way you would advise maybe a viewer who's watching us this morning and they have been struggling when it comes to triggers even post-treatment? How do they go about dealing with triggers?
First of all, I think our viewers, the best thing for you to handle such a person, maybe to deal with the triggers, you'll find that the trigger can escalate into something else.
And especially in spaces that you cannot control, especially if you are working, going about just daily life hustles, but there are those triggers that you can't really avoid. How would you advise them to go about that?
First of all, the best way of approaching or maybe managing the trigger is that there's a few things to avoid. Number one, as a particular person who is affected, they need to be talked to politely. That one means avoid anger. Don't shout at them. Don't shout at the person. And don't make quick decisions, because you don't know that person in particular is a patient. So you handle that person as a patient, somebody who is not normal. So what you need to do, you do away with anger. Even if they mess up, you just handle them softly. Then number two is that don't apportion any blame to them. For the first place, maybe even if they have done something, maybe they have broken something, don't accuse them, shout at them and make an environment unconducive for them. It will even now worsen the situation. So before you seek any other help, internally, even to yourself who is depressed, avoid anger. Just calm down, be patient a bit, and think in terms of solution finding, not in the terms of even blaming or something.
Okay.
Number two, don't complain too much about the patient or maybe upon yourself. There are people who are judgmental. You judge yourself so much because I didn't find this, I didn't do this, and that's how, it increases the kind of effect, negative effect upon yourself. So what you need to do, don't blame yourself and complain about others. What you need to do, even if the others have offended you, don't keep on complaining about others. Keep quiet and give yourself some patience. Then sometimes you find that you go through a situation that is very hurting. Even a patient can cause a very hurting situation. Persevere the pain. Don't give up and throw hands and take steps and even further. You take some further steps that can even harm the person.
Aggravating the situation.
Yeah, they aggravate the situation. So be patient and persevere the pain because pains are there. Particularly when you are encountering such like patients, they will cause pain. Emotionally, psychologically, even physically, they cause pain.
Yes.
And even loss of property. Property will be lost. Don't now dwell on such things. What you do, you count it down, and then you find a solution for this. Don't dwell on the same thing. It will also, bring the level of healing, and maybe can give a better point of starting. Number three is don't even murmur about them. If you murmur and they hear, then they will feel nobody needs them. That's why you find that they even develop a thought of suicidal thoughts. So what you need to do, don't murmur about them. What you need to do, talk to them. Face them and talk to that person. We want to help. We are looking for your help. In fact, if you are going through this, we understand you, but we are looking for your help. Now calm down, let us talk, and then from there you seek for help from any therapist or a counselor.
All right.
Then number four is also again is that don't gossip. Talk about them, because when at times they will come in eventually and then they hear they have been talked about. It causes a lot of pain.
It triggers. This
is another way of trigger.
Okay.
And then don't argue. When they behave the way they say and maybe they approach you or maybe confront you, don't argue with them. Just stay calm and talk softly. Even if they go up, stay down and talk to them softly.
Okay.
Eventually now it will pave the way without triggering a lot of animosities.
Now, James, when it comes to the treatments that you got, have you gotten to a point where you feel you can do without the therapy and also the medication? How are you doing at this particular time?
I'm done with the medication. The healing process, it's a long process.
Yes.
It doesn't stop just in one day. You have to keep on working on yourself every day. So it's a long thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still with the therapy?
Yeah, I'm still with the therapy.
Okay. Now, when it comes to assessing the effectiveness of the treatment that has been prescribed for a particular form of depression, at what point does one stop the medication, or at what point does the psychiatrist stop the medication and just continue with a different form?
In medication, you find that there are some medications that are administered to the patient, particularly anticonvulsant kind of treatment. When the person is erosive and he can maybe cause some damage around, or maybe it's not unstable to be talked to, they administer some medication called anticonvulsant. So once you see that now the person has stabilized, then you change the kind of treatment.
Okay.
In the process, somebody is continuing to be talked to by the counselor who is specifically assigned to that person.
So you adjust the treatment according to the stages
stability, yes,
of recovery.
Yes, as the patient now goes on recovering, then you adjust. Eventually you do away with the treatment, and then it becomes now an issue of psychosocial support.
Okay.
That's why you find that now from the treatment, once somebody has stabilized, then we take that person, that particular patient, to a rehab, whereby now there's a different environment, which is not for medication. It's not a medic environment. It's just an environment where now he socializes with others, and then we have therapy. They have classes also there. They have at times to go for games. They are taught of how to make, to be orderly and to be decent.
Okay.
Then from there now the evaluation also continues. We have the evaluators who come and evaluate, specifically during the times of visitation. We evaluate. Even we go as far as now knowing who is now stable and who can now be discharged from the rehab center.
So the withdrawal of medication has to come from the psychiatrist?
From the psychiatrist.
What about patients who try to wean themselves off the medication in the hope that, it's going to speed up their recovery?
At times, it is not recommended for a person himself to try to wean himself or herself from the treatment, because they might administer something that can be a drink again. So it's better to make it a professional way.
Okay.
So a professional way is that a psychiatrist can come in, and then from there now they can recommend which kind of, because during the medication, the psychiatrists know. They know what kind of medication comes first. So because it goes in levels. So that from there, they graduate to another level of treatment. From there, they graduate, and then from there now they start now decreasing the kind of dosage. Then from there, you find that now if somebody has now been stabilized, then eventually now say, okay, this person is stable. He can go for counseling work, and he can sit with a counselor or a therapist, and then they can talk and they share. Then from there, the improvement, even the sessions are assigned to that particular person.
Okay.
After a particular session, a particular number of sessions, there's an evaluation done to the particular person. And then there's record keeping. You find that as you look at the records, you see where the person began and where it has reached. And now we can now predict where we are heading to.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then from there, after the rehab, you cannot just drop somebody outside to the community like that.
Yes.
We do follow-ups. Follow-ups must be done to that particular person. Proper counsel also, and proper monitoring and supervision must be done to that person to a particular point whereby you see now the person has now resumed normal and can now perform.
All right.
Yes.
And I'd like to hear from you, James, looking at that reintegration process back to what is considered your normal life, your normal routine. How has that been for you? And most also dealing with the stigmatization that is associated with such issues.
When you heal, you don't go back to the same you are. You change lots of things, from lifestyle to friends to how you handle things, how you handle emotions. You have to adjust to everything. People are different. You might tell someone something, they take it different. Like, you can say something, you didn't mean to hurt someone, but you find accidentally it has hurted someone. So now you start understanding people more. You understand when you tell someone a simple thing and they get so angry, you now understand them. You don't take them the way you used to take them before. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when it comes to also the people, the environment in which you're trying to get this person to be to go back to, how vital is it to have a controlled environment? And when you cannot control that environment, how then do you handle that situation?
At times now it depends.
Yeah.
It depends because it now varies. Like now, where somebody has been to the extreme of depression, whereby he went through medication, he was hospitalized in the hospital for some time. Then from there, at times somebody was not even on his or her senses. Then eventually through treatment and psychotherapy, you find that the person now becomes normal. Then from there, you look at the environment where he came from. Like now, what we call peer group. Now you work with, if it's a teenager or maybe a youth, or maybe somebody who is dependent to the family. Now we call also the family also for counseling. Then in the process of counseling the family members, we also now look for options, how we can keep that person out of that environment. So to change. If it means maybe a civil servant or maybe somebody who is working in a particular condition, we can also advise even for transfer from that particular environment. For an officer maybe or a civil servant to go and work to another place, a different environment. So the family will also determine, because sometimes you can find somebody coming from a neighbor family. So even if you try maybe to make that condition, maybe it is impossible. Okay. But at times maybe we find a place where that person can be engaged in some activity, maybe in an organization, and then you find that we talk to the management to take care of him, as he also gives services. Somebody who is not engaged anywhere. So you can find a place where that sample can be taken care of. Yes.
All right. Now, there's a tweet that has come in from Lesoy, who's asking, how do you deal with relapse in a way that will not mean going back to ground zero when it comes to treatment?
Yeah, relapses are there. And it now depends with the kind of relapse. If it means treatment, we don't give up. As counselors, we don't give up. We are always persistent to make sure that our client, or maybe my client, will always stand on his feet. So the relapse is that it is normal. A relapse is not something unique. It is normal to everybody. It depends, it will now be maybe the management. Thereafter, they are commonly happen when somebody has come from out of the rehab and there is no follow-up, there is no proper management. Somebody will definitely, or maybe goes back to the same environment.
Same environment.
Definitely. Somebody will relapse. So the same procedure will be taken.
Okay.
And we also involve the person now. And at times, the people who relapse, at times they were taken without unwillingly. So before, as I said earlier on, we need to talk to the person first to make him sure that the person is understanding the particular help you are offering to him, so that he can be willing to go through the process. Is a person himself or herself who can help the process. Taking the person who is a patient, depressed person to the rehab or maybe for treatment does not change. But once he has it in mind that he is being helped, so he's the one who will help the parties to help him or her out of this.
As we draw the conversation to a close, James, just your advice to our viewers this morning, and especially those who are dealing with depression, they are struggling with finding somebody to talk to and even just accepting the situation and seeking treatment. What would you like to tell them this morning?
Mostly the youth, they are suffering in silence.
Yeah.
They don't talk. And that is one thing that is bringing us down. What I can tell them is that there's always hope. No matter what the situation, today might be bad, tomorrow will be good. Yeah. And you don't have to dwell in the past. We all make mistakes. Yeah.
And what of accepting the situation and actively seeking treatment?
You first of all have to accept yourself and what you've done. Fighting it will even worsen it. Yeah. And like for me, I was lucky. I was so lucky that I had people who were ready to help me, like the Sitam Church, Mrs. Lois Ndongu, my doctor. Like today, I'm also lucky I've met Sifuna, the chief chaplain of police. Sometimes let's say some things happen for a reason. Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, as we close, your advice to our viewers this morning when it comes to seeking professional help when you're dealing with depression and other forms of mental management.
My take to this is that in most cases we are fond of reacting. After something has happened extremely to the extremists is when we react. But I would prefer that we start now change the mode of operations.
We'll be proactive.
That we become proactive for that matter. So that now we begin making this community awareness to such a because depression, when it comes, nobody knows. You just find somebody is now, detaching himself or herself from others, or maybe just, developing some low interest in performance, and even in families. We need to even go for family therapies in the churches, through the churches, the other corporate world, so that now our people must understand when such things are happening, this is the approach. And at times, having severe punishment on people, particularly when they have gone through depression, without understanding the cause and the triggers of such a situation. I prefer that when somebody has a problem, we now have to make an approach. Like now in my organization, the Kenya Police Service, my bosses, our DAG Kenya Police Service has come up with a strategy whereby he has established the chaplaincy and counseling psychosocial support directorate. Now we have deployed counselors across the country, chaplains across the country, imams and catechists, priests across the country to help our people for counseling whenever the officers have their problems. So these songs of, police trigger happy, police, you are brutal, whatever, it's such a things we just want to make them go. Because we are no longer a service. We are no longer a force, a police force. We are now a police service. We need to serve well. And for us to attain this is that now we need to have our officers now also given this welfare of counseling and psychosocial support. Then from there we also, those who need some spiritual nourishment, now we are availing them for them. Absolutely. So for the community and maybe my viewers, I will say that we need also now to organize, or maybe the organizations, to come up with the therapies, workshops, and even the forums, at least to tell our people what is happening. And this year we are working on it with the Kenya Counseling Association, so that we can be a counseling association also, so that we can now reach out to the people. I've seen it practical when we have gone around during the COVID-19.
Yes.
Police officers came up, and the request came from the Minister of Health that we should provide police counselors. Officers came who are properly trained as counselors. They are the ones who have been training, counseling people in the hospitals and quarantine centers, and it was very well. So we have gone to the stations and the regions and the counties. We have talked to our officers. That's why you see there's a lot of calm. There is no wrangles, a lot of wrangles between the police and the members of the public, because officers are now aware that whatever has been stressing them, they know how to manage.
Changing the environment in all aspects possible.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for being with us this morning. We appreciate you for making time to be with us and just have this very open conversation about depression. James, thank you so much for being brave and sharing your story with us. There's one viewer, that is Nick Loden, who's saying, thank you for the advice. It has really been bothering me. Issues to do with depression. It is a silent crisis that we need to deal with. So thank you once again, James, and Reverend Dr. William, for being with us this morning.
Yes.
Well, that is all the time we had for today's program, but thank you so much for staying with us from the beginning up until now. We want to call it a program, but we will be back tomorrow morning with another edition of Good Morning Kenya. My name is Jen Wamboy. Do have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. God bless.
I'm so excited to be doing Cover Girl looks with Christine Kuria.
I feel like now I'm the real deal musician. Yeah, I feel pretty. You see, I feel like.
But you always look pretty. You have your signature hairstyle that we love so much.
Yeah.
And when I was working on this look today, I just thought, let me give you something different, something that you're not used to, because you always have your natural hair. So this time I thought, okay, fine, why don't we play with wigs?
Yeah. Oh, I've never worn a wig. I don't know. It's my first time. So I don't know, wigs look funny on my... I don't know what you did to this one. It just looks so... I'm sure people won't even recognize me. Hi, this is Masi Masika.
Oh, yes. Award-winning gospel singer.
No, really feel good. Different. Totally different.
And I also chose colors for you that were very different from what you wear, because I was just scrolling through your social media and I'm thinking, Masi doesn't wear...
Black, white, maybe red, and then white again. I don't know why I never looked at this color as a color. As in, as a color for me, I would say like, "Hii color ni ya Wakamba." Na hii color seems good.
No, it's beautiful.
But I'm so amazed.
Yeah, I chose this color for you. I actually got the inspiration from Lupita Nyong'o, and I thought you would definitely look nice with this color. So what's the future like now for your brand?
I'm going more worship. I'm working on a live project, which is live worship. So
nice.
I'm believing God to reach the world through music. Amen.
And you know what? I think you're missing something in your music. You are missing me as your backup singer.
No. What I am missing is at director extraordinaire. My God, you're amazing.
Thank you, darling.
See Lea kukutafutia
Kunishosha.
who has made me look like this, you know. Really, it's just amazing, the gift that you have.
Thank you.
So you're not going to back me up. I'll be calling you like every day. From today, you're my cousin.
Can I audition first so you can hear? Because I have other gifts.
I don't.
As we continue the journey, so we're going to go have the photo shoot right now.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to have this sit down with you, so you guys will watch how the other transformations are.
One day receiving a phone call for this amazing 2-day project, and headed up for a meeting, met up with Masi Masika and Christine, came up with a very amazing 2-day shoot script. Our concept was nice. So the first theme that we're looking for was actually something to do with music. We wanted to put her into an atmosphere of music and instruments and lots of beautiful vibe. And we literally came about a concept of having a white piano. So it wasn't that easy, but we had to think, put our minds together, think about, where we're going to do this, where we're going to look for that particular place. And we found a very amazing music store in Sarit Center where we would put Masi Masika there with an amazing long dress. And it was blue, I think turquoise blue, something like that, but that was nice. And yeah, Christine did an amazing job on doing, the creative director. And that was our day one, a beautiful day well spent.
Nichukue, nifunze, nataka kusoma kwa shule yako, soma Biblia. Nichukue, nifunze, nataka kusoma kwa shule yako.
As you heard, Songbird Masi Masika on CoverGirl Looks with Christine Kuria.
More about Masi's new look. Now we are bringing out the model in Masi Masika. Masi has this beautiful side that not a lot of people have ever seen it. But I'm so happy that Christine and Zaf saw it and brought it out.
Hey, looking forward to more CoverGirl Looks with Christine Kuria.
A love from the past will mark the love from today.
I love you, Mauro. I love you like I have never loved before.
Now the same obsession that ruined the past will try to destroy the present. Only this time, love will have more than one obstacle ahead.
I need a doctor to tend to her right away. Please, miss. A doctor. Call a doctor.
Loving you is all I want.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
If you help me, I'll get you out of the country.
Oh, yeah?
I want you to help me get back Ramon. That woman Fabiola stole him from me.
I'm just so happy.
Congratulations. Congratulations on the baby, on the house, on everything.
Thank you very much,
Congratulations,
Mr. Antonio.
We're about to make the best investment of our lives.
Won't be indebted to a bank because of a stupid loan roll and the paying double that amount. No, my dear, no.
You can't let her go. You need to bring her back.
Where do I look for her? My baby! My baby! Where's my baby?
In love with Ramon. Next on.
Yes, my youth, them a feel love them father. We are gonna nice up the party, nice up the party, nice up the party now. Oh gosh,